until a few more people come on, and then we'll get started. So if you just want to hang tight with us, you'll notice as you came on the line that your microphone and your video are off. So we just have that for ease of use for the presenters. So just hang tight with us for another couple minutes, and then we'll get started. Maybe we have some people that have decided to visit some patios instead of coming on to it.
Yeah, that's the thing with the Friday.
Oh, we got another person that I'm going to admit.
Patios are all we have right now, so. But.
I know. It's nice to see, though, restaurants coming up with innovative ways to.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a few more people jumping on. Innovative ways to expand their patios.
So, Lauren, if you could send me an email contact info.
Absolutely, I will.
Yeah, then get some information and get on the mailing list for Venture13, please.
Certainly. Sounds good.
Okay, I think we will get started, and we'll just have to pay attention, Robert, as I pass the controls over to you. Just
okay.
If you see people pop into the waiting room, you might need to admit them. If we have any late comers.
Do you need to pass control, or can I just, do you still see my screen?
I still do see your screen, so I can hold on to it and let.
Does everybody else see my screen?
Can everyone else see what's up on the screen? Lauren, can you see
my title page?
Okay, so I guess I don't need to pass it over.
Yeah,
so
that's fine. That way I don't have to think about that.
Great. So before we get started, everyone, I'm Erica Sagi. On behalf of Northumberland CFDC and Venture13, we'd like to welcome you to this session. It's our second Bricks to Clicks session, which is all about reinventing and moving your business onto an online platform or increasing your sales online. Obviously, right now in the current business environment, this is something that a lot of businesses have had to do and pivot. So this series is all about bringing the appropriate tools and expertise to you with local business owners from across Northumberland area to bring you the resources to do this with your business. Today we have Robert Scorzari. Thank you. From Inspiring Design Co. on the line, who's going to take us through everything about websites, creating, optimizing, and managing your website. It will be about a 40-minute session, and then we'll leave time for questions at the end. But there is the chat icon that if you have a question as we're going through anything, just type it in the chat box and we can address it right then and there. So without further ado, I will send it over to Robert. I will say we are recording this session and we will post it on the Venture13 resource library. That will be available for everyone to view if there's a key point you wanted to go back and reference or share this with anyone else that might have missed the session. So thank you, Robert, and I will pass it on to you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Robert Scorzari. My company is Inspiring Design, and I'm going to be walking you through creating, optimizing, and managing e-commerce websites. I want you to keep in mind that this is a big picture overview, bird's eye view of what's involved. I'm coming to this from the perspective that there's people watching this that perhaps have been considering an e-commerce website, not sure where to start, not sure what to do. This is to kind of give an overview, and in the end, hopefully you'll get a better idea of where to go from here and how to pursue your e-commerce website, or even if you want to still. So a little bit about me, first about my company, Inspiring Design Company. Was founded in 2015. I am based in Campbellford, Ontario. I do have clients all over Ontario. I have one client in the US. I'm not sure how I got them, but I did. And but most of my clients are in Northumberland County. So, so that's pretty awesome. Just a quick overview. I've worked with so many awesome clients around the area, around Ontario. You'll probably recognize some of these clients and some of these companies. They're quite active in the communities, and I feel privileged that I've worked with them. So a little bit about me. Here's a photo of me with my two kids. This is at Thousand Islands up in Kingston area. I was born and raised in Hamilton, the good old Hammer, as we call it over there. I studied graphic design in Toronto. I went to George Brown College of Design. Pretty awesome school, I think. For 25 years now, I've been doing graphic design. I've been helping clients, working with clients in various types of organizations, in-house, for agencies, and my own companies. This is not my first company I've had, but I've just got tons of experience, which I'm really happy with. I built my first website in 1998. It was crap, but that was 1998, so what can you do? And I built my first e-commerce website in 2000. And so at that time, it was really tough to build one. You really had to work at it because it was not easy to do, especially connecting it to payment systems. And I moved to Trent Hills in 2014, and I started an Inspiring Design Company in 2015. So about this presentation, so this just gives you an overview of what we're going to be covering. Why sell online? I'm going to get over some of the important reasons on why you perhaps should be selling online. How to sell online. You know, how do you actually do it? What do you do to go about this? DIY versus outsourcing. Every person who wants an online shop needs to think about, you know, how it's actually going to be, who's going to be building it, yourself, or do you hire somebody to do it for you? Building and maintaining your website, you know, what's involved there, optimizing your website and your products to increase sales, because if you're going to have an online store, you want to be selling. Then there's going to be some questions and answers, but feel free to ask me questions at any time. But I have set aside a specific time at the end. And I kind of have a special announcement and offer that I want to present to anybody watching this. So we'll get into that later. So to begin, why sell online? So the biggest thing that's got everybody talking about selling online right now is, of course, forced closures. Forced closures due to COVID-19 and possible future crises, perhaps a second wave. We don't know. Back in March, we had a forced quarantine that took many businesses by surprise. Even though we kind of had an inkling that something was coming, we really weren't prepared. Most people weren't prepared. People who didn't think having an online store before that was necessary. Sales were great. Everything's fine. All of a sudden, it became the only option available. Businesses were not prepared, and because of the closures, income stopped once the doors were closed, which was really hard on a lot of businesses. Thankfully, we do have the internet. I'm always thinking about what might have happened if we had something like this 20 years ago without the internet tools that we have today. It would have been really, really different and much, much harder. And if we think a lot of businesses closed this time without the internet, I think it would have been at least double or even triple the amount of businesses that would have forced to be closed. So just something to think about. So why selling online? Always be open for business 24/7. Without forced closures, you close your retail store every single day and don't even open until the morning. So at the end of the day, you're open from 9 to 5, you're open from 10 to 6, you're open from 7 till 2. At the end of the work day, you flip that sign over on your window from open to closed, and you go home, which you need to do. You need to go home, you need to have your break, but you can't be selling while you're doing that. So having an online store lets you make money while you're sleeping. You're always open for business, even when your physical store is closed. This is a secondary business model and one that needs its own marketing and focus. And we'll get into that a little bit more. So you need to think about your online store as a second store that can work for you, that does its own thing in addition to your physical store. By selling online, you're also going to be opening your client base. So you can go well beyond the local economy. You can open up your client base to national and even international clients if you want. Your current customers currently must physically be in your store to shop. That's the downside. And most of them that are browsing in your store, have to admit, are browsing. They're not really there, especially if you're in a high trafficked area. You're going to get a lot of window shoppers coming in. Most people online are there to shop. If they've taken the time to find you out, they're looking to buy. They're actively researching products they want to buy. So why not open up your store to the entire country or the world and let them shop your store at any time of the day? So now I'm going to get into how to sell online. Again, this is a high picture overview, looking at the different ways to go about and do this. So the first thing, obviously, is you need to create a website. You need to create an e-commerce website specifically. You need to choose a platform. A platform is the structure that your store is built on. There are some platforms such as WooCommerce or WordPress using a plugin called WooCommerce. WordPress is probably the most popular platform in the world, with about 30% of all websites in the world built using WordPress. And then there's other platforms that I kind of grouped all together: Shopify, Squarespace, Wix. Those are hosted platforms where you pay a monthly fee and you build your store. And so WordPress versus the hosted platforms, they each have their benefits, they each have their downsides, and we will get into that in a bit. So in choosing your platform, first you might want to think, do you currently have a website without e-commerce perhaps? How is it built? Does it currently use WordPress? Have you already built something in Squarespace? And then all you need to do is kind of add in extra functionality. Or you might want to take the opportunity, if you are going to build a new store, you might want to take the opportunity to kind of build up your entire website. So that way you can build a website that focuses on the e-commerce component of it. Some people build websites and add e-commerce. Some people build an e-commerce store. Think about what you want your client to feel when they get to your store. When you go to an e-commerce store, I'm just going to use Amazon for the example, it's a store right away. You're there to shop. Some stores, however, you get there and you have to click on a shop button. And then you go there and then you see the products that are for sale. So you have to think about that. In creating a website, you need to write some copy for your website, and you need to take photos of your store or of the people, of things about what makes your brand who it is. And this is not, don't think of this is not the photos of the products and the copywriting for the products. We'll get into that separately later. And then building the store, of course. So again, are you building it yourself or are you outsourcing it? So that's something you need to consider as well. Each has their downsides, and we will get into that in a bit. So once your store is built, next you have to think about creating and uploading products. You need things to actually sell in your store, in your online store. So your physical store has tons of products. They're on your shelves, they're there, but you need to get those products in front of online viewers. So for each product, you need to think about individually. There's kind of two components to it. Writing the copy, the words to sell your product, and taking great photos. in writing copy, when you're writing the listings, again, you have the option of doing it yourself or getting a copywriter. But you need to think about when you're writing copy for a product, you need to tell a story. You need to communicate and intrigue somebody to want to buy the product. Do not use the manufacturer's copy that they've supplied with you. That's actually a big no-no, and more than likely it's probably very boring, very literal texts with far too much specifications. The specifications are good, but you can add that in after as a second. You want to tell a story with every product. You want something creative, because that's what's really going to sell your product. And then taking great photos. The photos compensate for somebody being in your physical store, being able to pick up the product, flip it around in their hands, look at it, look at the texture of it, they feel it. They can pick it up and get an idea of the quality. How many times have you pick up a product and you just know it's really good quality versus you picked up another product and it's cheaply made just because of the way it sounds, the way it feels, the weight of it. You don't get that online. What you can give online is a variety of photographs from different angles. You can zoom in and get the detail. You can photograph a product besides something that shows relevance, such as how big it is, like having a photo with a product on beside a ruler. So the person shopping online gets a really good idea of what they're getting. And that's what you really want to focus on. Try to communicate what they're getting, all the different angles. If you can show the product in use, that's another bonus, like a hat. Show the hat on somebody's head. How does it fit? How does it work? So that's really important, because the photos and the copy together have to compensate for a visitor not being able to pick up the actual product and make those decisions for themselves. And to be quite honest, especially with copywriting, you can kind of tell a story that you can't tell online. I mean, in the actual store, unless you're going to be following somebody around, talking about every single product they're picking up. This is your opportunity to kind of really sell what the product is. So hope that's good. I'm going to continue on. So now we have created a website, created and uploaded products. Oh, one more thing with creating and upload products. I think a lot of people get overwhelmed by this. You might have a store with hundreds, thousands of products. I don't know. It is a lot of work, no doubt about that. But you don't have to launch a store with every product in your shop. You can start with 10 top sellers. You can start with the 20 top sellers. You can start with the most profitable items. You can start with new items, and then gradually add products as they come in. Don't let that be something that stops or holds up your store. So now you've built your store, you've added products. Now you want to start marketing your store. So marketing an online store is very similar to marketing any type of website. You have to think about website search engine optimization, but you also have to think about products as well. You might want to be marketing just a very specific product, because perhaps a product is a high seller and it might draw people in. So focusing specifically on a product, using social media, with your own social media accounts. There's online advertising, Facebook, Google, lots of advertising platforms out now. Promotions, you might want to, in your online ads, you can be promoting a special deal, a special feature, or special something that's happening, a sale, a 1-week sale, a special coupon. A lot of different things you can do online. As well, having ratings and reviews and warranties and guarantees. So when somebody is at your store, they're more inclined to purchase. Ratings and reviews are huge online. Everybody is online is researching. That's why they're there. They're deciding if they want to buy something. Everybody that shops online, if there are reviews, likely where they're going to go to first. A lot of shop owners might hesitate in having reviews because they think, well, what if we start getting negative reviews of some of these products or low star ratings? That's a great thing if you start getting that feedback. For one, you can start deciding what products to carry in your store, in your physical store and your online store. Two, it gives you an opportunity to provide feedback, offer help, offer support, so other visitors can see how you offer that support. And three is just, it opens up your store for transparency. It shows people that you care and you're not afraid to hide behind your products, and that you stand up for your product. And if a product, quite frankly, starts getting a lot of negative reviews, that's an opportunity for you to decide whether you want to continue selling that product. Warranties and guarantees, especially online, go very far. Again, you've got the hesitation. I can't pick this up. I can't see the quality. I don't know what I'm getting into. Highly recommend offering free returns, a really good solid warranty or a guarantee. Stand behind your products. A lot of people are really hesitant to do that because they think, oh, I can't start accepting free returns for all these products because it costs a lot of money. It's true, but you have to consider that for every one product that's returned, or you offer a warranty and give back the cost that somebody paid, you likely have made 20 extra sales that you would not have otherwise without that warranty or guarantee on those products in your store. It's those ratings, reviews, the warranty, and the guarantees that give people the feeling, the security that they can make a decision, shop, and feel good about it. I actually bought today, specifically, I bought a new pair of running shoes online from a Canadian retailer, not Amazon. I don't shop there. I'm trying to shop local business stores. I bought a pair of running shoes. I chose to go with them because they offered free returns and like a 30-day return guarantee. So if I get them, I don't like the shoes or they don't fit right, I can return them and not hesitate about it. And I know I'm not out any extra money and they'll return my money. Because of that, they made my sale. They would not have gotten my sale without that warranty. That was flat out. So think about that when you're thinking about the warranties and guarantees of your store. Let's move on. So now we're selling products, we're marketing, you're going to start getting sales. At the beginning, they might be a bit slower, but as you start marketing, sales are going to be increasing. So you need to think about the sales and the fulfillment part of that. So in the sales part, there's the actual taking orders. You're going to need to think about the payment gateway. The payment gateway is the system that you're accepting money via. So PayPal, it's the system that's in between the shopper's money and that money getting into your bank account. So that's called a payment gateway. Your bank might have a payment gateway that is compatible with WooCommerce or WordPress. It will likely have a payment gateway compatible with the other platforms, the popular platforms, especially Shopify. Between Shopify and WordPress / WooCommerce, that's likely, I'm going to take a guess, at about 75% of all the world's online stores. So banks and payment systems are going to make plugins that are compatible with them. You might also want to consider if you have a point of sale system that is online already that you're using in your store that connects to your website. That way you can manage inventory. So if you sell a product online, if you only have 20 product in store physically that you can ship, and you sell 1 or you sell 5 online, your inventory is going to get readjusted to 15. And because you don't want to oversell. And the other way around, even more important, if you sell a product in your store and you only have 5 products and 5 of them actually sell in the store, you want your website to get updated automatically to being sold out, so you don't accidentally resell online what you don't have available to ship anymore. So that's something to consider. And you also going to want to think about a shipping calculator, which is something that gets installed. So a shipping calculator will consider the products you're selling, the available packages that you're going to be putting those products in, the weight of the product, the weight and size of the product, plus the weight and size of the packaging, including the packaging materials such as the packing peanuts or the bubble wrap. All of that you need to consider. And by entering, you enter all the data once, and a shipping calculator will take that into consideration. And a really good shipping calculator, what it would do is, let's say somebody purchased various products in your store. Maybe they put 3 products in their cart and they completed the sale. And the shipping calculator will look at those products. It'll know the size, the weight of those. It'll know the size and weight of your boxes, including how much space is inside those boxes. It'll figure out how many, actually it'll figure out the size of the box you need to ship in, presuming you have more than one box size in the calculator. That way you'll get to know exactly what size you're going to be shipping in, and it'll calculate the cost of that based on the full weight and everything to wherever your customer is located in the region, in the country, in the world. So, so getting into the shipping component, you can connect your shipping calculator to Canada Post or almost any other shipping services as well. If you don't want to use Canada Post, you can use any of the couriers that are around, FedEx. They all have shipping calculators, again, with plugins that it will work with the top e-commerce platforms such as WordPress, WooCommerce, and Shopify. Take a look around. It's a good idea to kind of explore your options. For smaller shops, Canada Post is probably fine. They do have business accounts and you'll save a little bit of money, and it's just easier. If you're doing a lot of shipping and your store is very popular and you're shipping all over the world, you might want to consider other options that will perhaps give you better deals, give you better service, or work harder to get your sales. So that's something to consider. There are a lot of aspects to consider. It could seem overwhelming, I know that, but there is a lot of resources out there, and it does take research. So to find what's best for you.
Robert, there's a question that came up. Do you recommend a restaurant POS that integrates with e-commerce?
Restaurants are tricky. I can't recommend a specific. You might want to consider what you currently have already in use, your point of sale system, and ask them if they have compatibility with one or more of the existing platforms. That's probably the best place to start. As I said, most because of the popularity of WordPress and Shopify as the 2 top online commerce solutions out there, most services, most current point of sales likely have a system to integrate with them. So I would look to them first. If they don't, and they don't support it, probably would need to take some research. And then in that kind of case, you might want to look at a system where you can easily port over your data from an old point of sale to a new point of sale. Because that is important, of course. You want to make sure that it does connect well. And with a restaurant, there's other things to consider. You might want to consider things like gift cards. You might want to consider things like reservations. Hopefully when if you are able to take reservations yet, I don't know. But in today's climate, ordering online for takeout. Whereas before, maybe it wasn't as important. People were just able to call in. But now so many people are ordering, of course, that it would be great to have an online system. So taking that into account. And there are some systems, and again, with the platforms, there are integrated methods specifically for restaurants that you want to consider. And so in investigating and doing that research, getting in touch with them, asking those questions about connecting, and you will get a lot of answers. There are solutions out there. It's very popular, of course, especially restaurants in this day. So just getting that information is really important. So, and then making a decision that works best for you is the best solution, of course. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, there's just a follow-up to that. Any recommendation on GrooveCart?
GrooveCart I have not heard of. I apologize. If the person inquiring, feel free to follow up with me. I'd be happy to go look at their website later and investigate and ask some questions and see what compatibility they have, or plugins or extensions for some of the platforms, and see what solutions. And then I can kind of give this person my advice based on what I know, and kind of advise them on maybe the best way they can. I'd be super happy to do that.
Great.
All good?
Some will say that Shopify fees end up costly. Any insight?
Yeah, we actually get into that coming up when I explore the different platforms. So if the person's okay, I'll get to that. And if they still have more questions, I'll definitely answer any extra questions.
Awesome.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Let's carry on, unless there's something else, or we go on. Okay. So next, doing it yourself versus outsourcing. So doing it yourself, of course, the biggest thing is you save money. You can work on your website when you have time. You have full control of the website. However, you might be lacking design skills. Everybody has different levels. You're perhaps lacking the expertise. You're also lacking the advice from a professional. Tech experience varies. Technological experience varies from person to person. Some people might be gung-ho about it and know what to do and want to learn the process. Some people not so much. And in DIY, there are still monthly costs, especially with hosting and perhaps extra plugins and stuff. So it's not free, but there are costs, of course, involved. So in outsourcing, you do get professional design out of it. You get knowledgeable professionals, advice from professionals, and you get that experience. And you get somebody who is perhaps committed to your project. However, it does cost more. There's no denying that. And there are upfront costs versus monthly costs involved too. So even though you're paying for the website, you're likely still paying for the service. Whether you did go with WordPress or Shopify, you still have to pay those monthly fees or hosting fees or extra advanced plugins. So there are kind of pros and cons of each, and everybody is different based on your experience, your comfort level, and where you want to go with that. So, and with hiring somebody, you might be able to get somebody to kind of start working on it, or is committed to your project start to finish. When you're doing it yourself, you might only be able to do a little bit every day based on how busy you are running your actual store. And that for some people, that might be perfectly fine, and that's great. So it's up to you. Regardless, you might want to consider talking with a company such as myself or any other agency in your area, asking those questions, getting a feel for them, and then decide on how you want to approach your website. Oops. So that was a bit quick, but I just kind of went over the pros and cons of each. So if you do have extra questions, let me know. But perhaps choosing your platform, this might help you decide as well. So I'll get into that. So choosing the platform. So the first option is WordPress. So WordPress is self-hosted, which means you need your own hosting company. Hosting company could be something like GoDaddy or Green Geeks or one of the many hosting companies, and prices vary, quality varies, and customer support varies. So it depends on what you're comfortable with. So with a WordPress, you do need a little bit more tech experience. Oh, there's my cat. Hey, buddy. With WordPress, there are unlimited plugins and resources available. Like I said, WordPress is one of the top platforms in the world. 1/3 of all websites in the world are built using WordPress. So there's a lot of resources available. Not right now, buddy. There are many payment gateways to choose from. Pretty much every type of payment system has developed something to connect to WordPress, and right out of the gate, it's already likely going to be connected to PayPal and Square. So let me get this cat here. There we go. He wants to be part of the presentation. This is Jasper. So where do we leave off? Payment gateways. So there's going to be lots to choose from. So next, with a WordPress, you're going to be paying up front. That's especially true if you're hiring somebody to build your website. Plus you need the hosting, and plus perhaps premium plugins. So if you're not building it yourself, it could be pretty pricey. So something to consider, depends on your budget. If you are building it yourself, that is going to go down a little bit, of course. So there is more of a learning curve with WordPress. It's a little bit more technically advanced, but it's not overwhelming. They have improved the platform over the years to make it a little bit more user-friendly. So it's not like learning to code or anything like that. It's just compared to the other options, it definitely has a bigger learning curve. That's all I'm going to say. But for most people, they can still get it and still follow along. And with WordPress, it's a big company. WordPress itself is actually offered for free. The company that builds WordPress makes money selling premium plugins and premium extensions. And so because of this, they offer no customer support, but there are a lot of resources for support, such as forums, especially in Facebook forums and Facebook groups. You are going to find support for it. However, you don't get support from the company that actually makes it, because you're not paying them anything for it. If you purchase premium content, you'll get support for that content, and they will offer a bit of customer support for WordPress if it affects the actual usability of those products you've purchased. And there are options to connect to point of sale with terminals with WordPress. So that's something to consider. Oops. So now I'm going to talk about Shopify. So the good thing about Shopify is it is Canadian. They're based out of Ottawa, and one of the biggest online commerce stores in the world, which is fantastic. So that's a great reason to support them. There are monthly costs, then combined with the apps that they have available. Apps are pretty much like plugins in WordPress. So you get a certain amount of functionality out of the gate. And then if you want to add that functionality, every app that you install is going to add to that monthly cost. You don't just pay one price and then they've added the functionality to your shop. You're paying extra. So it is going to add up. And that's kind of a big downside. And that's one of the reasons I've kind of shied away from Shopify, because to build a store for my clients, you know, and then after I go through everything they need their store to do, and next thing they know, they've got, you know, $150, $200 monthly expenses for that shop that should have only been, you know, out of the gate was, I don't know how much their starting rate is now, $50 a month, I'm not sure. So that is something to consider. And there's no real way around it. It's a closed system. So to sell apps to go into Shopify, you need to go through Shopify's app store. Comparing that to WordPress is an open system. So while WordPress, the company that makes WordPress, does sell their own plugins, it is open source. And there's a lot of other companies that sell plugins as well. So you don't have to exclusively shop from WordPress. You can shop from the other stores. And I actually, personally, I don't shop the WordPress app store very often because their fees are a little bit higher. There are other resources that and other independent companies that might just sell. There could be, like, let's say you just wanted a plugin that connects your store to, or here's an example. You have a product and you want somebody to be able to write a message when they purchase a product. I do have a client that sells gift baskets, and they need the functionality to write a message on every gift basket that they sell. So that's not offered right out of the gate. There might be a company that's all, they only sell a plugin that does that one thing. And if you have a problem with it, they'll offer support on that thing, on that plugin. So you have those options. With Shopify, it's closed off. So you have to shop there. So that's something to consider. However, Shopify they do have many gateways, payment gateways as well, just like WordPress, because it is so popular. So something to consider. However, with both systems, always confirm the gateway that you're looking for works to get the money into your bank account before you make a decision. And they do have customer support. It's a paid platform. You're paying for the hosting, you're paying for everything. It's a lot easier to get support from the people that actually make the product. So something to consider. A lot of people will look at that customer support as being worth the extra money and the monthly payments, and that's fine. So you got to consider what you're paying for. So there was a question on Shopify earlier. Did that answer the question before I go on, or are we good?
I think so. I'm not seeing any.
Okay, that's fine. Again, anybody can contact me after with additional questions. I'll have my email at the end. So looking at other options. So WordPress with WooCommerce or Shopify are the top two platforms I've been talking about, but there are other platforms similar to Shopify. There's Wix, there's Squarespace, there's BigCommerce. Those work very similar to Shopify, and they all have their different ways of doing things, but it is it's the same type of platform where it's hosted on their account, and they offer the interface to build your site. I should have mentioned that comparing, now that I didn't put this in, but WordPress is the biggest learning curve. Shopify has a smaller learning curve because they've designed a built-in system that makes it really easy to pick a theme, design, and build a site just by kind of replace an image with your image, you replace their text with your text, and you've got a store. It is easier.
So there's a question. So if we budget a site that sells $5,000 per month, would you consider WP over Shopify? And would this view change if sales are larger, such as like 15,000 a month?
So when you're getting into sales like high sales numbers, another thing to consider is the cut that the all the other third parties are taking. So the credit card company, PayPal, if they're your payment gateway, or whatever your payment gateway is, you definitely need to look at all the different middle people involved and how much are they taking. So, and how much is going to end up in your pocket for your sales. So something to consider, especially when you're getting into sales that big. I do know that WordPress definitely has websites, e-commerce with thousands of products. It is very popular and it is used by very big stores. There are ways of, when you have that many products as well, with a lot of products and a lot of sales, there's ways of importing products. So that's something to consider. The ease of getting all those products in. You can bulk import using the various tools. So look to see what's important to you. To say one over another, it's hard to say because every shop is different. And based on your company and what you're selling, it definitely takes some research and getting advice based on what you're selling and the frequency and the sales. But definitely when you're getting to sales numbers that big, you do want to be looking at the bottom line of how much are you actually keeping versus how many user fees are you paying, percentages, credit card fees, PayPal fees. That is something to consider when considering your option. It's hard to say exactly you should go with this and not this one because there are so many options and different types of stores, and each one is different for each solution and each type of store and based on what you're selling. I hope that answered. I know it's not easy giving an exact answer, but that's pretty much it. So similar to Shopify, there is Wix, Squarespace, and BigCommerce. Wix and Squarespace are actually used by other companies who aren't building e-commerce stores, but they have e-commerce functionality built in. And BigCommerce is another Shopify competitor specifically. They're built to build online stores, so that might be more attractive. I advise looking at all the different options, seeing what they have, trying to find other stores that have built some of the examples they have, getting in touch with them, asking questions. There's another one I'm going to mention is SquareUp. If you are familiar with Square, the company that sells those little hardware things that you're seeing a lot of now, where you can tap, they actually also have their own e-commerce store. So if you're using Square as your point of sale hardware, they might be a good option for you. They do have a free plan. The downside is they only connect to their point of sale platform, of course. That's what they do. And they have their own fees. Although they have a free plan, they have, they take a cut of every sale. So that's how they work. So I just wanted to mention that as another option. Is kind of a little bit different than Shopify or Wix or those, and definitely different than WordPress. So things to consider. So optimizing to increase sales. So we kind of went over everything now to building your store, picking a platform, adding products, marketing those products, how to pick a platform, which one might be best. So assuming now you have a store, you want to increase sales and how to optimize. So I just want to kind of go over some points now, things to consider. Some of them I may have mentioned already. First of all, success isn't guaranteed. You need to commit time, you need to commit money, or both, depending on how much of one versus the other you have. You might have more time and less money. You might have more money and less time. So that you need to consider that, or you likely going to be committing both in building a store. When you're promoting your products, again, I'm going to reiterate, never copy and paste the product descriptions. You want original content on your website. Do not use the manufacturer provided content for the products. You are going to get reprimanded by Google and may even blacklist your website because it would have repeating content. So that's important. You need creative, fresh, original content all throughout your site for all your products. In promoting your website, use targeted keywords. Use those keywords in your titles, but don't overdo it. You want to be attracting search engines. You want to be attracting visitors to your website, and use SEO friendly product URLs. Make sure that the URL in your website says what the actual product is, and even include product categories. So let's say you're selling hats. The URL would be myhatcompany.com/men's hats /summer hats / gray hats or whatever. Google and other search engines look at that information to help decide whether a visitor is going to be shown that product. So something to consider. In promoting your store, things you want to consider in building your store, actually. You want to make sure that any product in your site is reachable within 2 to 3 clicks. If it's buried too much, under too many clicks, Google and other search engines will look at that content and those products as not as important as the products that are quickly accessible with 1 or 2 clicks. So something to consider. Again, using keywords and categories and meta tags in your products. A lot of this might seem a bit technical. That's something to consider when building your website. It's this information that draws traffic. Getting product reviews, I talked about this earlier. Getting those reviews are instrumental. They're huge in selling online. You want your visitors and customers to review your products, especially ones that have actually purchased your product. And if you can get a feature on it that says this verified, they've actually purchased it, this is their honest review, you will get more sales. Using search engine optimization, using social media, using online marketing. You might want to consider hiring an agency if you haven't looked at the other. There's the series of webinars is great. Yesterday, if you haven't spoken with Marquis, if you got a chance to watch that, he talks about the marketing aspects. I can help you out with that a little bit as well, or at least point you in the right direction. But do consider marketing. There are options for all budgets as well. So there's a lot to consider in that. But if you've put in the time and effort to build a store, market it. So conclusion. So things I want you to consider with an online store. An online store shouldn't be considered a side project, but a full expansion of your business. People don't consider how important that is. If you're going to take that on, your online store should be thought of as expanding your physical store. If you were expanding your store and you've purchased the shop next door and you're going to be putting a hole in the wall and opening it all up, that's a big change. You're going to be promoting, you're going to be putting in a lot of effort into doing that. You're going to be hiring an architect, you're going to be getting the permits. It's a big deal. And you should be considering your online expansion just the same way. Your online store has the capability to outsell, to match or outsell your actual physical store, considering how wide your audience you can get. So you could double your sales with minimal overhead. Think about the expenses of building an online store. Even if you were to hire an agency to do it for you, it's still substantially smaller than expanding a store physically. You need to think about it in those terms. But it does take time and it does take commitment. There's no ends or about that. If you're going to take the time, do it. And whether it's right now, and a lot of people might be thinking perhaps, things are easing off with the COVID, stores are opening up again, which is fantastic. But anything can happen in the future with what we learn now. And probably the best time to do it is while you are getting revenue from a physical store with people being able to come in again. It's better to be in that situation than forced closed and you're scrambling to get an online store up. So other important points: by selling online, in addition to your physical store, you're adding a business model that can withstand closures. You can always be open for business. Again, you don't have to close the store. You don't have to stop taking sales when you go home for the day and you flip the open sign to closed. You can still be open and taking sales. Choose the best e-commerce platform for you and your store. Do that research, figure out what is best for you, ask questions, talk to agencies, ask those questions, see what you're comfortable with based on your experience, make that decision. Next point is copywriting and photos. Sell your products. After you get somebody to your store, which social media, SEO, social media marketing will get them to your store, it's the copywriting and the photos that will make the final sale. So don't underestimate those important things. I kind of covered a lot in there. I know that there was a lot to consider. I wanted to give a big overview on what's involved, thinking about potential store owners or people or companies that are considering the expansion of online and not sure where to start. I hope I gave that. See if there's any extra questions.
Thanks, Robert. That's great.
You're welcome.
That was a lot of great content. I love that closing slide that you did.
Oh, thank you.
No, I really like the things to consider. I think it's so important, especially in this day and age, about investing in your online presence, and how you said, you know, it's just as important as your potential bricks and mortar store or restaurant, and how it's an extension, right, of your store, and it could even outsell. And I think a lot of people, obviously, with COVID-19 have seen that happen, and that's why this is such a relevant topic for all of us right now.
Mm-hmm.
So for those on the line, feel free to come off of mute if you have a question you want to ask directly, or type it in. Oh, we just got one. Any checklist to prepare for a website?
I may add to that. I just asked this question, if you don't mind. Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean, as you mentioned, there are so many apps and things that maybe we are not even aware of it, but this is actually what makes or differentiate a brand or a website from another. You, for example, mentioned that gift card add-on or plugin that people can add that. That's actually a very nice feature that, you know, I wasn't thinking about it. So do you have a checklist or something that we can fill it? Let's say you are a design company. I can fill these things, get the knowledge about them, and then send it back to you for a proposal?
I didn't create a specific checklist for this. I thought about it, but considering there's, I mentioned so many different options, I kind of went over a lot of the checklist would be different if you're building from one platform to the other. There are certain things that you need to consider that might be consistent throughout all the different platforms, such as the products and writing the products and getting those photographs and things like that. But I did not create one. However, I am happy to kind of discuss the options with anybody individually. And I totally offer free consultation to anybody who's considering it, and you don't have to, there's no obligation, there's no, and if I think you might be better off with another platform or another service, I'll let you know. It's just, so based on what you want, and every business is so different. Some businesses, like you said, might use a gift card as a way to have extra sales, and some businesses might need other services or other solutions in their website. So that's something to consider. So I don't, but if you do contact me at the end, feel free to send me an email. I do have an email screen coming in, contact info. I'd be happy to answer any questions for anybody at any time. So sorry.
Perfect. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, Robert, you did a great job on timing, I must say. 104, not bad, not bad.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, not bad. Wow. Quickly now. This was a surprise. I'm shocked I actually went an hour. So quickly now. I've started building an online course to get business owners online and have their own e-commerce store. I recognize after COVID happened, I recognize there's a lot of businesses that were taken by surprise and they needed to go online, but given the circumstances, they wanted to do something online, but it is technical, a lot of technical challenges. So I've started creating a course that literally walks you through step by step in building a WordPress website using WooCommerce. That's the first one I'm building. Later, I'm going to be, after this one's done, my next one's going to be a Shopify course. And what I'm offering is, if you go to this URL, I have a sign up form. And the sign up form, there's no obligations, there's no cost, you don't have to buy anything, but you will get a discount code when I launch pre-sales for it. And anybody signs up, I'm going to give a deep discount to begin with. I want to sell some stuff, products out of the boat, so I can get feedback from people. And that's one way I wanted to use anybody on this, watching this webinar, give them that offer anyway. So feel free to go to this website. The course is going to be called Always Open for Business. And it's just one thing I can do to kind of help businesses that might not have the funds available to hire an agency like myself or anybody else, but they do have some time to build something on their own, or perhaps they have a student or somebody else that can devote the time and build a store. This is to walk you through it step by step. Plus, I will be available to answer questions and to help people through it, so you still have expertise when you buy this course. So that was the surprise.
Amazing.
And
Thank you, Robert. Really appreciate the time.
Thank you so much. Here's my contact info, Robert at inspiringdesign.ca or inspiringdesign.ca. There's a contact form. I'd be happy to answer any questions about websites, branding, online stores, anything. And if I can't answer it, I'll be able to point you in the right direction. That's it.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, thank you, Robert. We really appreciate you taking us through this relevant content.
Thank you.
As mentioned to everyone on the line, we have recorded the session. So in the next few days, we'll have that up and live on our V13 resource library for anyone that missed it or would like to view the content again. And as Robert said, you know, his contact information's here. If you have any more questions, follow-ups, or, you know, looking for someone to support you in web design, please reach out to Robert. And we thank everyone for taking the time on this sunny Friday to hop online and learn about everything websites. So thank you all, and we hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you all.
Okay, take care.
Cheers.